Welcome, everyone, to another edition of recruiting with the Daily Night. This has been a crazy week. Davin Wydner is joining me on the show. Thank you for coming on, by the way, Davin. But normally I'm all excited and kind of know exactly how it's going to go on a podcast. But even though I know you, this is a very unusual situation. I've been following recruiting, covering it longer than you've been alive, and I've never been a part of a conversation like the one that I'm about to have.
Mm-hmm.
COVID, for those of you out there that don't know, the NCAA allowed anybody that played in 2020 an extra year of eligibility, and it's really caused a numbers crunch. Davin had offers early on, but pretty much all of them have taken, quote unquote, a transfer quarterback from the portal, which kind of bumps the quarterbacks and to some degree some of the O linemen more than any of the other positions out of a spot. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, Davin. You are visiting UCF Friday or Saturday?
Tomorrow
Friday.
morning. Yes, sir.
Okay. When did your situation with UCF start? Like when did all that get rolling?
I guess it could go way back. I went to the 7-on-7 there over the summer, and it was more interest from the past OC, who I kind of keep in contact with still.
He's
a little bit, just as really good, friends. He's kind of helped me a lot, like football wise. But he really, really liked me, and then so then it all kind of got cut off for a little while, and then I believe it started up Tuesday, as early as Tuesday. My coach, ex UCF quarterback, Ryan Schneider, he gave Coach Malzahn a call, and he was like, I got this kid, height, measurable, tape, passing yard record, the whole nine, and he sent me right to Coach Lindsay, and he hopped on the phone with me that day, kind of made me give him the rundown a little bit, and then asked, when can we meet, sit face to face, and I'm literally 30 minutes away from campus, so I was just like, I'd love to see the place. I've never really toured or visited, so we kind of set it up for Friday, and that's the way it's it's looking.
Well, right now with the way COVID is, and usually I can offer kids like you, I know you, I wouldn't have any advice. So like they're going into this blind too. There is no way to look at this because it's just a very unusual thing. So I'm really curious to see what you tell me afterwards. But so we do know you're visiting Friday. That's the one fact I'm going to get out of this. Probably you too. Before we go in any further with recruiting, you lived in New Jersey and you've moved down to Florida. You've worked with quarterback trainers, etc. I know from studying the state of Florida for a long time that Cocoa is one of a very small number of schools that has a huge following. If you recruit the state of Florida, you recruit Cocoa.
Yep.
That's pretty much an automatic. Heck, even the kid in your class below you already committed to Ohio State. They always got dudes. And what's it like playing at a school like Cocoa where every week, like your guys' schedule was flat out nuts?
Yep.
You guys played Jones, you played Venice. Who all am I missing? Like you played 4 or 5 games against teams that could win a state title. Some did.
Yeah, so we started off with Vero Beach week 1, hopped into Oceanola week 2, and then played Venice at Venice week 3, and then we played Treasure Coast, who had another really good year this year, week 4. And then we ran into another couple good programs at Dr. Phillips and a really good Spruce Creek team. So, yeah, week in and week out, it was crazy the schedule we played.
If I remember right, the first 3 games were all 1-point contests.
The first 4, yeah, we beat Vero Beach 42-41, beat Osceola 21-20, lost to Venice 21-20, and then beat Treasure Coast in double overtime 56-55.
Literally, that's got to be the greatest start from an entertainment standpoint in the history of high school football in the state of Florida. You can't play 4 straight 1-point games. It's almost impossible. And then add that it's Cocoa against top competition.
Yep. So,
you've been vetted, if you will, against anybody watches your senior film and watches game film, good Lord. I know the 2 D linemen very well. at Oceanola, and I'm sure you got to know them better than you wanted on that night.
Yeah.
What was it like when the first time that you walked up to the line of scrimmage and you saw the 3 technique being John Walker? What was that? Because I know you knew exactly where he was because you're human. You can't miss him.
You can't miss him. Cannot miss him. We walked up and I knew a couple of my teammates knew Derek really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of the guy that I was like,
right.
Okay, he'll be there. No matter what is going to happen, he's going to be there. And then I watched film, obviously, and I saw John, and I was like, wow. And then, I'm a pretty large human myself, but walked up to the line, and my line's pretty big as well. But then you just saw like this, I don't even know what to call it, like just a creature just standing across from me, and it was like, we're gonna scratch and claw, but that kid's gonna send me home, and then I'll sleep really, really well that night because of him.
Yeah, I had a coach earlier this year tell me that he was unquestionably like the best lineman they played the year before.
Yeah.
And this is coach at a school that honestly that wins a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, he's just different. We couldn't block him. And I'm like, I'm curious what you thought, because Coco's got linemen. I met some of your guys, but I know there's nobody you guys have that can block John one-on-one. And then you got Derek, who's just as good as an end, but John's just so big. The first time you meet him or shake his hand, you will not forget it.
No.
So
no, it was to the point where during that game, they moved Derek from D end, and they actually put him in the 3, and they put John. They put John in the 1.
So he's right there, and you're egg.
So I'm looking at both of them. I can't not look at both of them. But that game was crazy, and I'm just really, really glad we pulled that one out.
You'll never see a 1-2 punch like that, really, and just randomly at a high school, even in the state of Florida. Like, they're both top 10 players in Florida in their class.
Yeah,
it's really, really bizarre. When you guys played Venice, who ended up people out there winning the 8A state title, you came really close to winning. What you lost by 1? Was there a key play? What happened for you guys not to come out with a W?
So the story of our season was playing these teams and kind of, I don't know if it wasn't overlooking, but it just wasn't matching their energy. So boom, we show up in the first half, and we walk into the locker room, and it's 21-7. And 2 years ago when Coco played them, it was the same score, and we were like, what, we're not that team, stuff like that. So we showed up, and OJ had a leg injury, and it kind of caused me to run the ball. So I ended up running the ball 15 times that night.
That's a lot for you. That's a lot.
That is. And I think I fell right below 100 yards. So I was like 15 for 90 something. So it was pretty successful. But we scored with, I don't know, 3-4 minutes left, and I love our kicker to death, but he missed that extra point. And with the ground game that they had, they were able to kind of cruise down the field and able to chew all that clock away from us. So didn't give us that lost opportunity we kind of wish we had, but it showed a little fight. But that's probably, other than the state championship, that's the one where I was like, that was winnable, beyond winnable.
They have another kid, Damon Wilson, is a year younger than you, the DN, and I met him when Lakeland played at Venice in the spring. And it's just a spring game, but those schools don't fear anybody.
Yeah.
You got the animals that they do at D-line on both teams. It's crazy.
It's crazy.
What'd you think of Damon? Like, him and Derek are pretty much 6 one way, half dozen the other at DN. Was he as good as Derek? What'd you think?
I think they kind of brought they were a little different. I thought Damon, a little less in weight seemed.
Yeah, he's Derek's 255.
Yeah, and but Damon flew.
He's a freak.
Every single play, it felt like I would take my 3, and I'm right back to where I was. Kid just flew right up my my right shoulder, and it caused me to step up every time. It was to the point where I asked him in the game if he was like keeping a contain, but it just caused so much disruption from me changing eye levels and having to worry about a guy like that. But they had a couple other really good kids, but I'd say that kid was a definite freak. Yeah.
That's why a certain school in Tuscaloosa has extended him an offer. So there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
They have a lot of guys, and for the record, their coach told me before the season they had 23 kids bench 300 or more. That
is almost unheard of.
Yeah. I mean, their program, this is what we do. It's very militaristic, and their kids are just dedicated. So that's how you win a state title. So, well, back towards recruiting and stuff. I mean, obviously you're battle tested. I mean, you played against 10, 15 out of the top 50 kids in the state probably after the schedule you went against. What was it like knowing, okay, I forget all the offers you had, but like this disappeared or that? I mean, quarterback, there's usually one per school.
Yep.
That never really changes. That being stated, were you shocked that all of a sudden it just went and like your D1? I mean, now you can go play FCS in a million places and you kill it. Were you surprised as much as I was? Because like when your coach reached out to me today, I'm like, he didn't sign? I just hadn't paid attention.
Yeah.
Were you as surprised as me? Because I was just dumbfounded.
I'd say no, but I'd say yes. I read a lot about last year's dynamic, which is nothing like this year's. This year's was, just a whole nother level. But I wouldn't say I ever got truly flustered or truly angered by it. I mean, I knew that the time is ticking, and a lot of kids during this time want to lock something in, and I just thought more of it would come from high school kids taking my, or whoever's position that is at quarterback spot. It's unfortunate, but it's the day and age we live in, so I guess you just got to get used to it.
Well, the kid at Venice, Brown, he didn't get a chance to start till he was in a really weird spot.
Yeah,
he's a tremendous football player, and he told me a few weeks ago, like he had an offer from Western Michigan. He's like you; he's from up north, moved down, in like one other school, and like he's athletically good enough to play in the Power Five.
Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. I mean, I know you saw him, and that just kind of puts it in perspective because everybody, whether they want to or not, recruits this state. You have to. And for multiple guys that have Power 5 ability not to have a spot in D1 until he got like one or two and you don't have any right now, that just puts it in the what is going on category.
Yep.
So I've been trying to, for lack of a better term, educate parents. And I even told a couple of different coaches this today, one of which is a program you've heard of, St. Thomas Aquinas.
Yep.
1/3 to half the kids that you're used to seeing in a recruiting class, pick a school, those scholarships are now going to the transfer board. Depending on the school, it's different.
Yeah.
But like UCF took 12, if I remember, 12 or 13 last year. I mean, it's not real hard to recruit to Orlando. I mean, that you live right down the road from it.
Yep.
Kids from up north or whatever, Tennessee or something, it's a lot easier. And they want experienced kids. So what you're going through is what a lot are, but some people don't get it like you. So we're good for you for being mature.
Mm-hmm.
But what are some of your other options beyond UCF right now if you decide not to go play for the Knights as a preferred walk-on?
Well, I'm going to Rutgers on an official visit this weekend. Hometown state of mine. So that'd be really cool. I've known Coach Gleason for a little while. So we'll kind of, sit and wait and see how that kind of turns out. Nothing has been discussed between, PWO, nothing, or a scholarship offer, nothing of the sort. So my guess is they're going to try and, fill me out, see what I am as, a kid and my personality and stuff like that. And hopefully I'll get an answer, over the weekend about that. Schools like Florida State are still kind of here and there. So I mean, there's still stuff definitely out there for me that I could take and want to take, but I'm still trying to navigate it. It's last minute, but I'm just trying to stay as calm as possible and kind of trust this very short process that is still here.
National Signing Day is next Wednesday.
Yep.
How does it work with the preferred walk-on? Assuming Rutgers, I have no idea. I'm just guessing. If they offer you PWO as well, does signing day? Has anybody explained that to you? Because I have no idea. Does it work the same?
I've heard multiple things.
Okay.
But the one main thing I've heard is that by signing a PWO, you don't really, in better words, like sell yourself to the school until you attend, I believe, a practice or a meeting.
Oh, okay. So then you're locked in with school.
Then you are an athlete of that university. So, say I take a PWO, it'll be, I'll be theirs, unless if a better opportunity comes up. And then I believe I sign and take. Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, it just sounds like we need to quote unquote allow it to play out, but it could happen pretty quick or maybe not. So it depends on if it's a two-parter or not. I mean, if somebody offers you a full ride somewhere down the road, you might cut bait with whatever you go with first, and it's understandable. So the interesting things, a buddy of mine said the other day to me, he goes, as awful as it is, schools that are FCS and or lower level Division I, when they take kids Division I now, and this is getting ready to come to a head, a lot of times they are now being recruited from their school to go join a bigger one. PWO, I'm sure, is that way to a certain degree too.
Yeah.
The comparison that I'll use as a kid that I'm sure you're familiar with because Georgia Tech recruited you, Gibbs ended up at Alabama. My buddy and I were on the phone the other day when he entered the portal that day. He called the school and said, what's his situation? Who is he looking at and all that? And they told him flat out that it was a done deal to Alabama for months. That doesn't sound real legal to me, but Nick Saban and being honest and not cheating are not real surprising. So have you had anybody talk to you about we might still look at you if you go somewhere else or anything? You don't have to name schools or anything like that, but I know Nick's not the only one cheating out there. So,
a lot of it is how many scholarship schools have. So a lot of these people that I have heard from are kind of like, develop, lift, learn from a college coach, a college program. And, we couldn't take you this year, but, we'll take you the year after or the year after, depending on.
Yeah.
So there is a decent amount of that. Just to the point where I heard a lot of it in a week, like 1 week, a couple weeks ago, that I was almost thinking of going to like a prep school for a year.
I've wondered about that. Was my other question. Yeah.
I've entertained it. The IMG prep coach, the head coach, just like reached out to me probably 2-3 weeks ago about it. So it's definitely in the back of my mind because I've also heard from a lot of schools that if you can and if you'd like to, we'd love to take you as our 23. So we'll kind of see how that plays out, but it could be a route that does take place.
You're from Jersey, and that corridor, if you will, from Jersey all the way to Maine is just loaded for whatever reason with prep schools. Some of them got names about Yay Long and, they're prestigious. They're tied into Harvard or Columbia or whatever. Have you talked to any of those or entertained or looked at any of those institutions?
Not that, no, I haven't. I don't think anybody has really reached out to me over, Twitter DM. The only prep school that has entertained and messaged me is the IMG prep program that they have.
New Jersey's got a few. I know Massachusetts has got a bunch. It's a little colder there than Cocoa Beach.
Yep.
Being a native New Jersey guy, I'm sure you could adjust back. Not that you want to, but if you're visiting Rutgers, you're entertaining that at any rate. So Well, Davin, I wish you well this weekend. You got a trip
Thank
local
you.
and a trip back up home.
Yep.
I'll talk to you next week, one way or the other. But I appreciate you coming on. Hold on one second until I get off here. But everybody, thank Davin for this interview. This is one of the coolest interviews I've ever done, arguably the most unique. I may not do another one like this really. In over 20 years, it's been pretty wild. So please like and subscribe, hit that notification button. But everybody have a great night. Thank you very much.